and KOAM TV.
Now at 10, how 4 state residents are responding to help folks along the Gulf Coast recover from the impact of Hurricane Ida. Plus, the latest on the investigation into a number of altercations and an assault Friday in Webb City following the Cardinals' matchup with Joplin. And former Kansas Governor Jeff Colyer announces he's withdrawing from the 2022 race.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Hurricane Ida left behind plenty of destruction in Louisiana and Mississippi. The storm killed at least 2 people in Louisiana, but the death toll is expected to rise. Reporter Jason Allen reports from Baton Rouge on the search and rescue efforts taking place today.
Roofs are torn off homes in hard-hit Grand Isle, Louisiana, where about 40 people decided not to evacuate. In New Orleans, Hurricane Ida ripped apart storied structures, spilling bricks onto a car below. The scene is similar in Thibodeau, a partially collapsed building and crushed vehicles.
Yeah, it was like a bomb going off. We didn't know where it was coming from or anything. We just rushed to the back of the building when all this stuff was collapsing.
Water poured over a levee in Braithwaite. Although some smaller levees in Louisiana overtopped, none failed in the state, including in New Orleans.
The worst case scenario, it did not happen. We did not have another Katrina.
Black Hawk helicopters were among the first aircraft in the sky, searching for those in need of help.
The water just started rising, and we tried to get out, but the car just started floating.
Teams from 16 states are here.
Search and rescue missions, saving lives is the #1 priority.
Another big priority is getting the power back on. More than 1 million people are without electricity tonight, with down power lines like this common all over the state. All of New Orleans is in the dark. This is one reason why. Ida crushed this transmission line that crosses the Mississippi River in the city. The power outages are hitting hospitals hard. Children's Hospital of New Orleans is running on generator power.
We have adequate fuel for a number of days to come. And the longer this stretches on, the more concerning it could become for us.
More than 25,000 linemen from 22 states are working to restore the power, with more on the way. But it's a repair job that could take weeks. Jason Allen, CBS News, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
3 hospitals in Louisiana were evacuated and another one is clearing out tonight. Now, according to Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards, around 25,000 linemen from 22 states are working to restore power in the area impacted by Ida. That includes crews from right here in the 4 states. KOAM Zach Dodge has details.
Electric crews and linemen head to Louisiana and Mississippi to help with recovery from Hurricane Ida.
All we had to do was tell them that we had received a request, and we immediately had volunteers.
More than 1 million people across Louisiana are without power following the destructive storm, so a 4-man crew from Carthage Water and Electric left Saturday to make the trek down and are now going to Natchez, Mississippi.
They have about 50% just under their customers are without power right now, and so there's quite a bit of work to be done.
Linemen, vegetation management personnel, and police from Grand River Dam Authority, as well as crews from several fire departments across Oklahoma, also rolled out on Saturday.
So far, things seem to be going well. Our guys are well trained. They've been in this sort of incident before, so when they move in, they know what to expect.
Both Carthage Water and Electric and GRDA are lending a hand as part of a nationwide American Public Power mutual aid effort. And as soon as that request came in, they were ready for action.
It's them saying, we are ready to help, send us down there, let us go.
They talk about an Oklahoma standard, and I think these guys uphold that pretty well when they go into a situation like this to help however they need to. So our objective is just to help our neighbors and to do it as quickly and safely as possible.
Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt says more than 150 responders are currently deployed to Louisiana. The American Red Cross says if you want to help, monetary donations will go a long way. We have links to where you can donate on this story on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Nick Kelly is keeping an eye on the remnants of Ida.
And thankfully, it is pretty much all that is left, Al. Just remnants and barely a tropical depression. But the National Hurricane Center still classifying it just as a tropical depression with 35-mile-per-hour sustained winds. Not a big wind maker anymore, but with storms like this working over land, can't rule out some heavy rain, maybe some isolated tornadoes for parts of the deep south of the Tennessee Valley tonight into Tuesday. Then the leftover moisture as Ida really falls apart will cause quite a bit of flooding rainfall for parts of the northeast. But around here, we had to deal with our own scattered storms this afternoon, but not until we had a high of 92 at Joplin Regional after we started at 71 this morning. Not a drop of rain on the radar right now. That being said, I am watching this complex of storms getting us out together across South Dakota and Nebraska. In terms of how it might play out for tomorrow, we could just take a quick look here. We're all quiet, lows near 69 to start the morning out. That cluster of storms wants to stay northeast, but if any outflow can come through here, can't rule out an isolated storm or two in the afternoon. Dow with highs near 91. We'll break down the rest of the forecast here in a bit.
Catch you then. Joplin Health Department reports 4 more COVID-related deaths, bringing the city's total to 164 deaths. The residents who passed include a 57-year-old man and some women ages 34, 61, and 63. Friday night's football game between Webb City and Joplin High School had many in the community excited, but events following the game left one man injured. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with local police, both school districts, and the injured man, and has details.
If you were on Facebook or Twitter this weekend, you've probably seen images and videos shared following a football game between Joplin and Webb City high schools. Many unconfirmed claims were shared around, so KOAM reached out to the schools along with police dispatched to the scene to see what really happened. In a joint statement from Webb City and Joplin Schools Administration, we were told that following an investigation, there was no evidence of damage of the turf or any vandalism in the restrooms. However, there was a sink broken prior to halftime in the ladies' restroom on the home side, but there is no evidence that it was some sort of vandalism. Following claims of fights that broke out, we were sent a statement on Saturday from the Webb City Police Department. They said they were dispatched to 3 skirmishes on the parking lot of the high school football stadium after the game. According to the Webb City Police Department, no arrests have been made following Friday night's incident, and the department is still investigating. The victim of that assault they are investigating is Dennis Grissom, a 69-year-old man who lives nearby the stadium.
The people came back from the game, and Dennis and the kids was sitting there. And Dennis approached the people to see who they were, and the guy put his chest up onto Dennis's chest, and the kids looked away for a moment. They looked back, and Dennis was on the ground, and Dennis was hugging the guy, trying to just stop him from hitting. The dad had him in a headlock.
Split my sternum, and
his face.
And I've got a concussion. I had lumps and bumps beat all over me.
No students were reported to be involved with the assault, and the ones identified in the fights taking place in the parking lot have been identified from each school district and subject to each school's disciplinary policy. In Webb City, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The full joint statement from Joplin and Webb City school districts will be available on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. A correction to a story we brought you at 6. Raymond Stanley, the man involved in a Delaware County, Oklahoma crash, survived that accident. He is in critical condition at the hospital. Still ahead, former Kansas Governor Colyer announces he's dropping out of the race to regain his seat in 2022. And the U.S. completes its withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Your air conditioner, Air Plumbing and Electric today.
Former Kansas Governor Jeff Colyer is dropping out of the 2022 race for governor after being diagnosed with prostate cancer. Colyer was governor for a little less than a year, elevated from lieutenant governor in January of 2018 when GOP Governor Sam Brownback resigned to become U.S. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom. Colyer narrowly lost his 2018 primary bid to conservative Chris Kobach. Kobach then lost the general election to Governor Laura Kelly. In his announcement today, Colyer says he's endorsing Attorney General Derek Schmidt. Jackson County, Missouri prosecutor Gene Peters Baker has filed a motion asking a judge to exonerate a man who's been in prison for 4 decades for a triple murder that she and many others do not believe he committed. The motion was made public today. It stems from a new law that gives a local prosecutor the authority to ask judges to exonerate prisoners they believe are innocent. Members of the team that prosecuted Kevin Strickland, federal prosecutors in the Western District of Missouri, Jackson County's presiding judge, Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas, and some Republican members of Missouri's legislature have all said Strickland should be released. Strickland was convicted of a triple murder in 1978 and has been in prison since. In 2009, a witness who picked Strickland out of a lineup said she was pressured to do so. The witness went to the Innocence Project looking to exonerate Strickland. It's already August 31st in Kabul, Afghanistan, and the Pentagon has announced its military withdrawal is finished. The State Department is now taking the lead with its diplomatic mission moved to Doha, Qatar. Natalie Brand is at the White House with more.
I'm here to announce the completion of our withdrawal from Afghanistan and the end of the military mission to evacuate American citizens.
The Pentagon says the last U.S. military plane has departed Kabul's international airport, completing the U.S. withdrawal from a 20-year war in Afghanistan.
A new chapter of America's engagement with Afghanistan has begun. It's one in which we will lead with our diplomacy.
Overnight, rockets that were launched towards Kabul's international airport were either shot down or failed to reach their target. The attempted attack came one day after the U.S. conducted an airstrike against an ISIS-K vehicle filled with explosives near the airport.
This strike prevented a high-profile attack.
The Pentagon is investigating reports of possible civilian casualties from the drone strike. Ahead of Tuesday's August 31st withdrawal deadline, the administration says more than 122,000 people have been evacuated from Afghanistan.
We believe there are still a small number of Americans, under 200 and likely closer to 100, who remain in Afghanistan.
Americans that are in Afghanistan that want to leave and Afghans who want to leave, they will not be denied that opportunity.
This video sent to CBS News from journalists on the ground in Afghanistan is believed to show members of the Taliban firing to the sky in celebration of the U.S. withdrawal. President Biden said Tuesday he will address his decision not to extend U.S. troop presence there beyond the 31st. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
The president released a statement this afternoon praising the courage of the U.S. military, veterans, diplomats, and volunteers who assisted in the Afghanistan airlift mission, and he expressed gratitude for the sacrifice of the 13 fallen U.S. service members who died in last week's suicide attack. Masking and testing could help prevent coronavirus infections in at least half of susceptible K-12 students. That's according to projections modeled by researchers from North Carolina State University. Universal mask use plus randomized testing could reduce the proportion of infected students to as low as 1/4. The same data showed that without any mitigation measures, between 75 and 90% of susceptible students may get infected in the first 3 months of school. Susceptible students are those who are not vaccinated or do not have natural immunity. A British study shows the Delta COVID-19 variant doubles the risk of hospitalization compared to the Alpha variant, which was first identified in the UK. Researchers analyzed 40,000 cases from March through May. They say most of the cases were among the unvaccinated. Later, an exciting softball matchup as Webb City takes on Nevada. Jacob Leonard has the highlights in sports.
Plus, we're pretty much done with tracking any rain chances for tonight. We'll see if any other chances are lining up when we come back. Before we could get any scattered rain and thunderstorms going yet again this afternoon, we all had to start mild with lows in the lower 70s, but barely edging over the 90-degree mark for many of you. And again, while some of you had to deal with some scattered rain and storms this afternoon, indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri, you kept things pretty quiet with any threatening cloud cover and any rain or storms pretty much staying around that part of the four-state region. In fact, everybody was quiet this morning. Then we had the scattering of afternoon rain and thunderstorms. And in terms of area-wide rain, didn't really amount to much, maybe 1/10 of an inch, but that's taking into account a good portion of the region which barely saw a drop of rain today. And contrasting that to some heavier downpours of rain that outside of Veneta, Miami, Chanute, Nevada, Lamar, Stockton Lake, and around Monette and Purdy, those pockets of rain ranged anywhere from about ½ an inch to almost 2 inches of rainfall. And thankfully, if you were not a fan of the storms that were out there this afternoon, once we got past sunset, you saw how we started out with thunderstorms this evening. They're pretty much gone now, and thankfully we're going to keep things pretty quiet as we go through the rest of the night. 7th range line, skies certainly looking quiet. We'll say partly clouded to mostly clear skies up top. 75 in Joplin. Thankfully, it doesn't feel any hotter, and not to mention, it feels so pretty okay too when you can get the occasional east breeze at about 3 to 5 miles per hour. Most of us are in the mid 70s right now. A couple spots around Independence trying to hold on to an 80-degree reading or so, and thankfully there's not a lot of humidity, so maybe it feel just a degree or two warmer when you factor in the little bit of humidity that's still out there after we saw the scattered rain and thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening. In terms of the big picture, though, whatever is left of Ida will continue to cause some flooding, rain, and maybe some isolated tornadoes for parts of the deep south tonight into tomorrow. But I am keeping an eye on this developing cluster of severe thunderstorms across parts of South Dakota and Nebraska. Most of that action is going to ride along our stationary front, the same one that's been parked to the north and to help aid in our thunderstorm chances today, and also the upper levels helping to steer them from northwest to southeast. But look at that blue H. That is a sign of our upper level ridge ready to build back in, certainly as we hit the middle of the week. But let's focus on the short-term forecast here. I think the future track here is spot on. We stay quiet for the rest of the night with lows dropping back mainly into the upper 60s to near 70. Here's 10 a.m. That cluster of thunderstorms developing north and west wants to clip the Kansas City area and mainly stay out in central parts of Missouri right along the I-70 corridor. The wild card here is if any outflow from those thunderstorms could work in from north to south, I would not be surprised if this resulted in a random shower or storm. So I'm keeping just a slight chance for a thunderstorm or two in the afternoon. Otherwise, 69 in the morning, 86 by noon. Afternoon highs, rain or not, we're all back to 91 degrees for tomorrow. There is a slight chance as well we could see some isolated thunderstorms late tomorrow night into tomorrow morning, but I think the rest of Wednesday is looking dry. But you can see how we go easily back into the lower 90s. That's because of this upper ridge, eager to build back in. Fortunately, that doesn't want to bring so much humidity back into play, but it will certainly keep us hot for the rest of the week and as we get into the upcoming Labor Day weekend. So 91 tomorrow, we'll go 91 on Wednesday as well, staying mainly lower 90s Thursday and Friday, but we'll have to push highs near 94 down, but at the very least, even with some slight rain chances for parts of the holiday weekend, it'll just be hot and not hot and humid.
You know, traditionally we look at Labor Day weekend as the unofficial end of summer. I wish it were the true end of summer. I'm sure there'll be some more hot temperatures ahead.
I think we can count on that.
Thanks, Nick. Coming up in sports, we're going to hear from Joplin kicker Joe Epson on his game-winning field goal Friday night against Webb City. Plus, the Webb City softball team opens the season with a walk-off win against Nevada. Jacob Leonard has those highlights and more next.
Berg.org.
Today is the beginning of the softball season for the Webb City Cardinals. Now, Webb City, fresh off a runner-up finish at state last season, opens up their schedule today against Nevada. Now, this game here is good all the way through. Nevada already up one in the third. Kirsten Buck, 2 runners on, puts it up and out to left center. 3-run homer for Buck. Tigers have a 4-0 lead. But then the bats get going for Webb City. Peyton Hawkins, bottom of the third for the Cards. Clears the fence in left for the solo home run. Until the bottom of the 5th, still 4-1 until Morgan Brannon drills one out to left center. Big swing for the senior. It's now 4-2. Another senior goes to work here in the 6th inning. Kaylin Gilbert with her team down just 1. Opposite field for the solo shot. This game tied at 4 going to the final inning. The bottom of the 7th, Emma Welch with a runner on second. Welch squares up and finds the gap. Shelby Gardner scores, walk-off double for Welch. Webb City takes their opener in exciting fashion over Nevada 5-4.
It was an inside pitch and it felt amazing because she's been pitching outside. She did amazing with the outside corner, and so I was expecting outside, and she came with that inside, and I took my opportunity. It was my time to step up, and I knew what I had to do, and I had full confidence in myself, and I knew my teammates had confidence in myself. I could hear them from the dugout loud, and I just went up there with confidence, and it worked out for me.
St. Louis Cardinals open up a series on the road against the Reds tonight. Paul Goldschmidt, 2-run homer to right there. Cardinals grab the first 2 runs of the game. To the second inning now, Cincy gets one back. Kyle Farmer, solo shot to left. Cuts the St. Louis lead in half, but that's all the Reds got. 6th inning here, Tyler O'Neill got all of it. Not really good enough for the RBI single, though, scores Dylan Carlson. Cardinals take the opener over the Reds tonight, 3-1. The Kansas City Chiefs have waived former NEO running back Darwin Thompson. The Chiefs picked up Thompson in the 6th round of the NFL draft back in 2019. The former Norseman appeared in 26 games for Kansas City, picking up 225 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, while collecting 108 yards and 2 more scores receiving. The Joplin Eagles picked up a big win to open the season on Friday. The Eagles beat Webb City 41-40 for their 3rd straight win over the Cardinals. Now, it took them all 48 minutes, but a clutch kick from junior Joseph Ibsen finished the job. Ibsen connected from 42 yards out as time expired to give the Eagles the 1-point win. We actually caught up with the junior today to talk about making the game winner.
As soon as it hit my foot, I could tell when you kick the football, it always makes a certain feeling and where it hits your foot, and you could tell by how when it left my foot that it was going through the uprights, and I looked up and it was through the uprights, and it was just a good feeling to know that me and the team had done it and beat Webb.
That was fun, obviously, for Joe. He's such a good kid, and kids that work hard like that, it's awesome to see things like that, that to get that opportunity and to come through.
That's it for sports. We're back with more news after this. The 26th annual
have a stable home.
Take time now to honor a local veteran, Private First Class Mark Greninger Jr. The Webb City native served in the U.S. Army, and we are proud to salute Private First Class Mark Greninger. He's tonight's four-state hero. Nick, Kelly, once that thermometer hits 90, it is definitely officially hot, and boy, it's going to be doing that again and again and again in the days ahead.
If there's any consolation, I don't think the humidity is eager to come back anytime soon. So we'll take the heat instead of the heat and the humidity, but still 91 tomorrow and Wednesday, 92 Thursday, and trying to push into the mid-90s for parts of the Labor Day weekend.
And not much chance of any more rain. A little bit, but not much.
Maybe here and there tomorrow, maybe a couple times in the weekend. But any outdoor plans for Labor Day weekend, keep them. Enjoy it.
Final sports notes.
Got a busy day of football tomorrow. We're going to hear from both Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern on Thursday's season opener for each of them. Also, we'll have our preview with the Chanute Blue Comets.
Looking forward to that. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget our morning show, and let's make it a great tomorrow.
Salon service is provided by the Wild Side in Pittsburgh for over